It's hard for me to believe sometimes that I've actually been living in Italy now for nearly 7 years. I've changed so much and I've learned so many lessons along the way. And one key area that I think I've learned perhaps the most lessons in has actually been to do with my interactions with other people. People, well, we're complicated. There are so many different aspects to the interpersonal relationships that you will find with people here in Italy that I think are also very much universal as well. And I thought today I would share with you some of the key lessons that I've really learnt over this time because yes, I've learnt them here in Italy because I really do believe when you put yourself into unfamiliar surroundings outside of your comfort zone, you really do learn lessons more than if you were with familiar people in places that you already know. But also because these are definitely universal lessons and not exclusive to people that live here in Italy. And the first lesson that I've really learned concerning other people is that in time, people reveal who they really are. And this is something that I posted as a YouTube short just yesterday. And I think it's the truest thing ever. It's tied in a lot to the book that I read from Mel Robbins at the beginning part of this year, Let Them. And it is this like, sometimes we think we know people, we think we have a friendship, or we think that they are good people, or we think that we have some kind of a bond. But in time, people always reveal to you who they are and whether or not that friendship or bond was even real in the first place. And this is something that I've got personal experience from. Absolutely. I've had connections with people here in the past that a few months down the line just weren't really the same anymore. And I can only liken it to the fact that people reveal themselves to be who they really are. Some people form connections because it's of benefit to them at the time and not really because they value who you are as a person or what you bring to the table. And that is the harsh reality of life sometimes. We are all intrinsically selfish and we all look after ourselves, number one, first and foremost. And so sometimes we only create bonds with people that we think could be beneficial to our lives in that period, but they're not necessarily sustainable on a long-term basis. And I definitely recognize some connections that I've had in the past as coming under that category for sure. And so if you're not sure about a person, if you have a few question marks about their character or the way that they're behaving with you, just let them be. And you focus on living your life. And in time, that person will reveal themselves to you and their character. And if you are in a moment of need and you ask them for something, their actions, their responses will reveal to you who they really are as a person. The second lesson that I've really learned is that not everyone will support you. And disclaimer, that's totally okay. I've noticed this a lot with the work that I'm producing. So, I've got a YouTube channel, I've got this podcast, I've written 2 books, I'm building a brand, and there are so many people that silently watch what I do. I notice this a lot on Instagram because, of course, you can see the people who view your stories on Instagram. And I notice the people that will watch every single story but will never, ever interact on any of my posts, or will never talk to me about what I'm doing, or will never be interested in what it is that I'm creating. And in a way, that's okay because, nobody is as invested in your dream as you are. Let's be real. But also it's okay because you should never be doing things for other people. You should be doing them for yourself, in the sense that if you wait for validation from those around you, you could be waiting your entire life. Not everybody is ready to support what you're doing. They're so invested in their own lives and in what's going on in their own situations that sometimes they just don't have the mental bandwidth to offer support for what you're doing. And also just some people don't get it as well. Like, some people don't get the fact that you might have a YouTube channel or you're starting a business because it's so far out of what is familiar to them. And so you can't try and win those people round. If they want to support you, they would. And that's what you must remember. If somebody wants to do something in life, they would do it. And if they don't, they just don't want to. And so you have to accept that harsh reality. And I think for me, I've always accepted the fact that not everybody is going to be a vocal supporter of what I do. And that is actually okay because I do what I do for myself and I do what I do for the people who really appreciate the content that I produce. So for this, there's people that watch silently can continue to watch silently. It's not a matter of ego for me. I don't need everybody in the world to be cheering me on from the sidelines, but it does mean that I value those people who do. even more so, because not everybody is wired to be that supportive to others. And I think if you find people in your life who are, cherish them, because we are not all made in the same way. The third lesson that I have really learned is that those that gossip to you will also gossip about you. So, so true. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a chat with your friends about what's happening in your life or some people that you know. Okay, this is harmless. But when people go around and will blatantly tell you things that perhaps were confidential or perhaps you shouldn't really have known about, they will also do the same about you if you choose to tell them information about your life. It's this. And I've always been really, really wary of people who have got loose lips, shall we say, because I think they cannot be trusted at all. And to be frank, you are a fool if you tell that person anything of value about your life or anything deeply personal. And I think it's interesting because these kinds of people will come across as being overly friendly, everybody's best friend. But it's interesting because I read, and I think it might have been, I don't remember, I don't want to misquote who it was, but it was a really famous quote that said, a person who is a friend to all is a friend to none. Aristotle, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't want to misquote it, but it was this. So, a person who is a friend to all is a friend to none. And I think this is very, very true. In life, it's not really normal that you would be friends with absolutely every person. We are all so different. We are not the same as one another. We are going to conflict with people. We're going to have different opinions, different viewpoints, different goals. It's not possible that you can be best friends with every single person. And I always think it's a bit of a red flag when somebody is. And sometimes I think they do it because they can extract information from people under the guise of this friendship and then just talk about it with others. I mean, that's the reality, right? So I always think be careful, because if you're sitting in a room gossiping, and it's not nice gossip either, like it's malicious, it's scandalous, whatever it may be, I really think be careful, because you'll be the next person that they talk about once you leave the room. It's this. If you participate in it, then you have to be willing to also be a part of it in the future as well. It's just the rule of life, really. And the fourth lesson that I have learned about people is that people who speak the most often have the least to say. This is true. I have witnessed here in Italy people who be very, very vocal about different things. And, they're very opinionated and they want to express what they think about things. And there'll be somebody in the room who is really, really quiet. But I guarantee you that person will be overlooked because they're not speaking up, because they're not expressing an opinion. But they are probably the most intelligent person in that room. And that's it. Because intelligent people know that not everything has to be responded to. You don't have to say something to every single thing that is said. Like sometimes the most intelligent response is to say nothing at all. And yet people don't realize this. People try to portray themselves as being really knowledgeable and superior by the fact that they have so much to say about a particular topic. But it's actually the reverse. The most intelligent people are often the ones that are observing and not speaking, because it's through observing that people reveal themselves, taking it back to the first lesson that I've learned. And, when you're so busy just talking and talking, you are not really taking in what's going on around you. And so sometimes you are not necessarily understanding the situation as well as you could. And so sometimes it pays to be quiet. It pays to be the one that people overlook in the room. It pays to be the one that is different from others. And I think, that has been my experience living here in Italy all of this time. I've definitely felt different to those around me at points. And I embrace that because I enjoy observing people. I enjoy not sitting in rooms and just gossiping, but actually keeping my distance and looking after my mental health in that sense. And I enjoy just following my own path, because that's the most liberating thing you can do in life. When you start worrying about other people, you get stuck in these like traps of comparison or of wanting to please people, and it's just horrible. You just end up like wrapping yourself in chains and you don't make any progress in your life. But when you're just merrily on your own way, undeterred by what other people have to say, not bothered by what's going on in other people's lives, I really, really do think you make much better progress. And I just think you feel so much freer as a result. And that is the path that I've embraced here in Italy. I do my own thing a lot of the time. I don't really pay too much attention to what people around me have to say. I really appreciate the support that I receive. But at the same time, I also don't look to crave that support. If it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, it's okay because I'm deeply comfortable with what I'm doing. And I think that really is the most precious place that you can arrive at in life, where you are no longer in chains by what is happening around you, but you are forging your own way, creating your own path. And essentially, that's the biggest lesson I think that I can take away from people here in Italy is this: follow your own path, follow your own way, and the right people will be with you every step of the way, and those that aren't will naturally fall away. And it's that kind of process that you need to remember. I'll see you in the next episode.